got? It's 7:30. So figure we've got 20 minutes. About 20 minutes.
Okay.
What do we want to call this?
It's called CRM Players, Playaz. That's the actual Players.
All right, copy that. This is take one, slate.
Wow, that was new for us. Okay, hey, I'm Brent Leary.
I'm Paul Greenberg.
We're the CRM Players, and for like the 20 millionth consecutive week, we're in Vegas.
Oh God, how did that happen? I have to leave. I'm sorry. I'm going. Actually, we're in a secret X-Men conclave.
I know the way you're looking right now. There's like mics upon mics upon mics, but we are in Vegas. We're here for Outperform. I like this Pros annual conference. They moved it to Vegas, and if you have to come to Vegas, the Aria is the place to come to, right?
Yeah, it's actually arguably the nicest hotel in Vegas. Although many will argue the Win, which I totally disagree with.
No, I told you I'd rename that the Lose after the last time I was there. All right, so not only are we here in Vegas, and we're going to talk about data science and AI and all these things, and who else would we want to talk to than Dr. Michael Wu, who's, what's your official title here at Pros?
I'm the Chief AI Strategist.
The Chief now that's, we always talk to people with really cool titles.
Yeah.
That's among the coolest, right?
What's the acronym for that?
CAIS, I guess.
CAIS? K's? We'll have to figure that one out.
Well, we'll figure it out. We'll work on it. But hey, thanks for joining us, man.
Pleasure. Yeah.
All right, I got a question.
Yeah.
Your fashion sense. You always sport the cool cap. Give us the origin story for why you sport the cool cap.
Okay, so this is all credits goes to my wife. So the story really is, it happens that after I kind of gone from academia to the industry, I literally have no sense of fashion. I literally are just like, you know, t-shirt with jeans and just, you know, I started out as an engineer, you know, like, and don't have to see any customer or go out at all. I don't even have to leave my chair literally just a whole day. And then, so I don't need to have any, you know, like fashion sense. And then, but you know, thanks to Paul and among others who, you know, discover my work, and I think I got a lot more requests externally. And then that's kind of when my wife started to say that, you know, now you're starting to go out, you know, you can't just dress like a nerd as you were, you know, in college and doing your PhD. So she started out, you know, basically shopping for me and designing this look for me. She literally tried on like, I think 20 different kinds of hat, you know, and probably over like, I think the actual number, 20 different kinds, but I think the actual number of hat we actually tried on is probably up in 100.
Oh my
God. About 100, yeah, different. Yeah, and then eventually, yeah, this was not the last one, but she actually eventually came back to this Kango style hat.
What's it called?
It's a Kango.
Kango.
Yeah.
Well, I know nothing about hats.
Yeah.
See, I was hoping that the origin story had some data analytics, some AI involved, but it was good old-fashioned human wivery coming in to set you straight here.
None of that. One thing he's probably too much to tell you, it became kind of a cult thing.
Yeah.
There was when he was at Lithium, they gave out Michael Wu hats.
Oh wow!
Right to the audience.
Yeah, I think that was a little eerie, you know. Like
it was kind of
when
weird.
You look in the audience, you see like, you know, 700 people wearing the hat and glasses.
I know.
You know, looking back at you, and
it made it kind of hard to find you, though.
Well, let me know when Pros does the Dr. Michael Wu bobblehead night with the cool cap on, because I definitely want one of those.
It has to have a removable cap, though.
Definitely let you know.
All right, so here's the thing. You know, you're chief AI strategist, scientist. You've been a data scientist. You're one of the few people on the planet who actually understands the difference between AI and machine learning. You're literally one of the few people who can actually explain AI to a human being as opposed to another data scientist, right? So, I mean, when I first heard somebody go AI, I'd go, hey, you what? Right? I was like, they didn't finish the sentence to me. I thought they were just about to tell me something about themselves. But then I found out it actually stood for artificial intelligence, had been around for quite a while. So for the ordinary human being what is AI? What's the difference between machine learning, and how actually does it realistically? What are the actual benefits of it, as opposed to all the hype you hear all the time?
Boy, that's a long one.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I mean, so
We're
let
out
me,
of time. I'm
let
sorry.
me, yeah, one at a time, of course. So let me just talk a little bit about machine learning first, because I mean that's the foundation of it. Actually, everything goes back to big data. Okay, so machine learning is really just a process of, that the data scientists do, right? And it's a process of turning data into a model, into some kind of algorithm, right? So you have some data, the data have some pattern in it, right? And you use machine learning is actually a bunch of algorithms, and then you use those algorithms to essentially pick out these patterns, right? And then you turn those into a model. Okay? So that's what machine learning really is, right? It's both a noun and a verb, right? I mean, as a noun, it's really just a bunch of algorithms that data scientists use. Okay? It should really be called machine learning algorithms, right? As a verb, it's really just a process that data scientists perform, right, to turn data into a model. Okay, so that's machine learning, right? But what is AI? AI is actually much harder to define. I would say that because the definition of AI actually changes over time. It's actually been around for quite a while. It's been around, I would say, 40, 50 years. Like the concept of it, at least. Like the actual kind of AI, actual inception of it, building of it, is much more recent, of course. So over time, this concept of AI have actually changed quite a bit. So the way I like to look at AI at this moment in time, is really just a machine mimicry of some human behavior and human decisions. Okay? When the machine can actually mimic something that human do, right? That's then it's considered artificial. It's considered intelligent. Okay, but that's actually not sufficient by itself. I would say that there have to be two more criteria. Right? One is that it has to be able to automate decisions and actions. Okay, so machine mimicry is a human behavior and decision that has two criteria. One is automation of decision and action, and the other one that a lot of people miss is that ability to learn and improve itself with usage. Okay, so if you don't learn, then it could be intelligent, but it stays there. It never gets improved. Right. It's not adaptive, right? So that's kind of how I like to define AI. It's a machine kind of mimicry of human decision and behavior, with the characteristic of one being able to automate decision and actions, and the ability to learn and improve itself over time.
I was just going to say, what's the most irritating thing that people always seem to get mixed up or confused that you hear over and over and it just drives you crazy about this?
Yeah, so it has to do with an image that been circulating around on the internet for a long time. It's that image that says, oh, deep learning is a kind of machine learning, and machine learning is a kind of AI. So very often I hear people say that, oh, machine learning is a subset of AI, and not vice versa. And I said, like, it's just that picture is just like so to give credit for the person, whoever it is who created that image, that picture, a little bit of credit. I mean, I would say that it's not completely wrong. I mean, machine learning is actually used in all pretty much modern AI, right? So it kind of makes sense to put machine learning inside AI, right? But if you do that, basically, if you have this kind of Venn diagram, right? Deep learning is a kind of machine learning, and machine learning is actually not a kind of AI, but is used in every AI, so it kind of makes sense to put them in there. But if you kind of just look at that picture, right, with the kind of concentric circles of deep learning in the innermost part, and then machine learning out and outside of that, and then outside of that is AI, right? Then it kind of, people very often kind of come to the wrong conclusion that machine learning is actually a kind of AI, which is actually not true. It's used in AI, but it's not true. The one example that I could give, that I will talk about later in the keynote, is to make this really vivid. Is that you could think of another example that's parallel to this, right? That everybody can understand is that, for example, V8 is a kind of engine, right? Everybody knows that V8 is a kind of engine.
I thought it was vegetable juice.
Oh yeah, that's another kind of V8. I actually drink that.
With all that salt?
Yeah, it is pretty savory. Yeah, but apparently it has some, I would say, nutritional content is pretty
Okay.
good for us. Yeah.
Different engine then.
Yeah. So anyway, so V8 is a kind of engine, right? An engine is used in every car, right?
Right.
So if you make that kind of mistake of saying that V8 is inside engine, inside a car, right? Which is used in every car, right? Then if you look at that image, right? Sometimes you could come to the wrong conclusion that the engine is actually a kind of car, which is ridiculous, right?
Right.
You know, an engine is not a
Yeah.
car,
Right.
Right.
So that's the one thing that kind of very often drive me crazy, that people said that machine learning is it's kind of AI. AI is not a kind of machine learning. It's not quite true.
So let me throw another thing. This actually drives me crazy, to be honest. Where people are
Yankees
saying,
losing?
no, they won.
No, I said,
No.
what drives you crazy?
No, that's a whole other level of crazy, right? So, I'm always hearing, the constant story about the panic stories about AI substituting for humans, blah blah blah. The Skynet story, but here's the deal. From my standpoint, you said it's mimicry.
Yeah.
Meaning it's approximation, and it's the best it's ever going to be. It's never going to be a human being substitute. It can't be. It doesn't create the way humans do. The chief data scientist or chief scientist of Salesforce, Richard Schorsch, I think his name is Schorsch.
Socher.
Him, yeah. He actually made a comment once where he said, and I love this comment, he said, AI doesn't want anything, which is really a great way of putting it, which means you have to tell AI, go do that, and then it'll go do it and learn and do all that things, but it's not going to say, I'm going to go do that.
Yeah.
So is that true? Secondly, am I right to be irritated by that? Or should I get some AI to be irritated for me?
Well, I mean, I think it's true to an extent. I would say that, like AI, I mean, most of the, I would say, machine learning and AI algorithm out there, they operate on what we call optimizing some objective function, right? So depending on what you wanted to optimize, right, then it will find ways, to optimize that, whatever it is, right? So it's simply a mathematical algorithm that try to optimize something, right? So if you want to optimize sales, right? Some people say that they've done experiments to see what would the machine do, right, when they actually try to optimize profit or something, or if you're trying to optimize winning a game like chess or something like that, what would they do, right? I mean, so very often that is when machine actually do something kind of out of what we expect them to do, is that is usually because we have not specified the boundary, the constraint, right? You need to optimize it, but we didn't tell them to optimize this like with certain constraint, right? I mean, machine could learn to cheat, but all they're trying to do is optimize, right?
Right.
But they say, okay, you didn't tell me that I can cheat.
Right.
I mean, I didn't know anything about cheating, right? So that's. But if you say that, okay, you have to optimize this under the constraint that you cannot do this, and that, right? Then it will do it. It will follow that, but maybe you forgot a few things, right? So it's almost like think about how a child would learn, right? How children learn, right? I mean, if you tell them that, to optimize something, right, or do something, right, they're going to try every way they can, and then you say like maybe maybe he wants to get an ice cream from his friend, and then he tries to, or one time he may try to like just grab it by force, and he say, oh, you can't do that, okay. And then next time I say, okay, I can't do that. Okay, can I steal it? Oh, no, you can't do that either, right? And then so it's really an iterative learning process. So you have to kind of teach them like what are the boundaries, right? And then over time you will learn that, okay, these are what the acceptable boundary is, right? And you'll be coincide with our humans kind of acceptable boundaries, right?
All right. So yesterday we had a little like an analyst meeting, I guess, with Andres, and one of the things he said was, modern sales organizations currently they're optimized for, they focus on deal optimization. He says it should be a transformation into optimizing customer experience. So how do those two things fit together? That there's a lot of focus and a lot of right now on using data for optimizing things like deals.
Yeah.
But how do you do things around optimizing for experience with all this data that you have that's really focused on deal optimization?
Yeah, I think if you only have data that's actually focused on the deals, right, then it's actually very hard. Right? So you need to actually collect other data, right?
Right.
So obviously, it's very easy to envision a scenario, right, where you optimize a deal, but people are poor customer experience, right? You just keep selling them stuff with stuff they don't want, keep sending them catalogs of things that they already have, already own, right? And then just bug the hell out of them, So, and you could do that, but then ultimately, you are hurting your customer experience. In the longer run, it may actually hurt your deal because eventually customers are going to leave you, right? So this is kind of I would say the time scale that people have to look at, right? I mean, over a short time scale, if you optimize for a deal, yeah, you may get some revenue lift, right? But in the long run, if you actually don't care about customer experience, customers going to leave, right? But if you actually optimize for customer experience, right, maybe in the short term, right, it won't give you the revenue lift that you wanted, right? But over a long run, customers going to realize that, hey, this company is awesome, right? I'm actually going to do business with them and continue to do business with them for my rest of my life, or I'm going to encourage my children, my friend, and advocate about this company's service. So that's actually a much longer term view, right? So, but as we know that most business sometimes can be a little bit short-sighted. But
All right, so I got a question that has nothing to do with AI.
all right.
Zero. I know, and I know this, you are a major league foodie. Like a major league foodie. Okay, and not only a major league foodie, but you could literally have another career as a restaurant critic and food photographer, right? I think 1/3 of all internet traffic are your food photographs, right? So I need to know, because I don't think I've ever actually asked you this in all these years, what is your actual, the dining experience of your life? You and Margie, what was the greatest dining experience of your life? At least one that you can point to with a great deal of happiness.
Okay. Do I get only one chance?
No, you can take 20, as many as you want.
All right. I mean, okay. That's easy.
Well, you do have a keynote to go to, so.
Yeah, that too. So one is actually kind of hard. I would say that I think there are some dining experiences that are just, I would say, extraordinary. I would say that. So one is this certainly this restaurant in Amsterdam.
Okay.
And it's a restaurant called by the name after the artist, the Dutch artist Vermeer.
Yeah.
Okay. And obviously the food was spectacular, and the presentation is beautiful, right? They have, when they actually have Brussels sprout, they take out the whole Brussels sprout and they cut a little piece out for you, right? And the most amazing thing about this restaurant is that they actually, the servers, the staff, they're very observant. Like when you are just talking or anything, they almost like they're not there. Nobody's there. Wow. But anytime you kind of lift up your head, they immediately come to your service. And the really interesting is that they seem to be self-coordinating among themselves too.
Yeah.
And all the dishes when they came out, and sometimes they would two people kind of, but they all come and the plates hit the table all at once. And then when they come gather the utensils and flatware away, everything was picked up in the order, and one at a time, and they're just, it's very well coordinated. It's just very, very interesting.
Vermeer.
So, Vermeer, yes. So that was one that I find, really extraordinary. And another one is this, I would say, a French restaurant by the name of Pertinence.
Where is this?
Pertinence in Paris.
In Paris.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So of course, the food is again spectacular. It's just delicious, right? And it has a little bit of, we like it a lot because it's kind of French, but has a tint of kind of Asian fusion to it.
Okay.
Because the chef, one of the chefs is Japanese and the other one is Malaysian, and so it's a very interesting fusion, but it's French, and yeah. So, and then one time we were there, and then we actually we spoke this without knowing that there's actually no one else booking for lunchtime because we didn't have time, and then but then we actually pretty much had the whole restaurant to ourselves.
Really?
Yeah.
That alone would make it cool.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful restaurant. It's a small, it's not a big restaurant, but it's just amazing. So so these two are, I would say, very unique.
You know, I've had some of those similar experiences. You know, Chick-fil-A and Five Guys is also, you know,
Burger Bar in San Francisco.
Burger Bar is also out there too.
Burger Bar's actually
Yeah, that's the one we can all agree on.
There we go. Let's all go there next time we're in San Francisco.
You know what? I don't doubt we will.
All right, I know we're getting kind of close to the big keynote, so I know you got to run. But any last words? Where do we see AI, or should I start with machine learning, then AI? But where do you see us in 5 years with this stuff?
I think in 5 years, a lot more of our work is going to be automated. Okay, so the mundane kind of, I would say, the most boring, repetitive, mundane part of our work, you know, they should be automated.
Yes.
I feel like you know, a lot of people fear that, you know, computer or machine taking our jobs. I think we've been doing, you know, mundane, repetitive job for too long.
Right.
You know, I think those jobs should have been done by machine.
Right.
You
They're
know,
doing
so,
better, right?
Yeah. So, and where, you know, humans should focus on what humans do best, right? I mean, for example, building relationships, right? Being empathetic to people, right?
Right.
And finding and solve problems. I mean, so if you solve the problem once or twice, right, then you could teach the machine, and the machine could solve it, you know. And you know, if there's a situation, the same problem arises that if the previous ways that you solved didn't work, then you try to solve it again in a different way, right? And you teach, like, once you solve it, you teach to the machine so they could automate. So human could always focus on solving new problems, which is of course much more interesting and much more exciting, right? So.
Yeah, and it's not like there's ever going to be a shortage of problems wherever humans are concerned. So.
Exactly. I don't see that going away. So.
Well, this has been great. One problem I'd like to solve is how do you get out of Vegas?
You don't.
Yeah, you just got to
This
stay
is
here.
the Twilight Zone.
This is the Twilight
We're
Zone.
in it finally.
We're in it. And I'm Brent Leary.
And I'm Paul Greenberg.
We are the CRM players, and we're still finding a way out of Vegas, hopefully.
And we like to say we're out, but we're not.
We'll never be out, but we're out.